everyone. So this video will be about replacing the radio on my Tiguan. I've been thinking about it. I finally pulled the trigger and bought one of those aftermarket radios, AndroidAuto and the whole shebang off of AliExpress. So I got that box. The box got tons of components in it. I'm gonna go over each and every one of them. There are some brackets like this, for instance, which is likely right behind that, right? So I'm gonna put this here. I've got a second one, which could be for the bottom. Not entirely sure. Oh no, actually this one is for the top. I suspect that there are several variances for this model, and they send you parts that I might not need. I might not need everything. Then I have all the connectors. That's for the backup camera. You can see the little camera is there. I'm not entirely sure how I'm gonna mount this. I've got a couple of ideas. This is technically a 4K camera, which is probably overkill, but it came in the kit. So there are a couple of instructions actually here, which is encouraging. USB HD DVR. Okay, so vehicle Android navigation special purpose. So that's, I believe this is the dash cam actually. So this one comes with a USB connector, and yes, this one is the dash cam. I recall that now. It's part of the kit. And the good thing is that my liner is still off, so I'm gonna be able to run all the necessary wires under the headliner, which was the whole idea. So this is it. This clearly, apparently, well, I'll say clearly, I'm not entirely sure. This looks like adhesive. So this probably gets attached to, so I'm gonna have to look at the instructions, but that's a dash cam. I figured it would be nice to have, because these days, you never know, whenever you drive around and someone cuts you off or whatever. Probably not a bad thing to have. I'm gonna pack this back here. It's USB driven, which is interesting, so I'm gonna have to run some wires, more wires. Hopefully it's long enough. I'll put this here. Then we have a harness with a couple of tools in there and adapters. Gonna have to spend a little bit more time on this, see what comes out of the current radio. So we'll see that. Then we have some more wiring with what looks like a GPS. Could be for satellite radio. That likely connects to the back of the unit. And then we have the back of the unit itself. Pretty big screen, looks nice actually. At the very top of the unit, you find where you're gonna have the bracket that I was showing you earlier that clips in, along with the passenger airbag that I need to maintain, the little card holder, and the flashers, you know, the four-way flasher. So this is remarkably thin actually, if you can tell. There's a couple of the things actually. These are the metallic trims. It just actually fell off this here, so I'm not sure why. But fundamentally, this is supposed to be fairly easy, right? So I'll see how everything goes. The first thing is to remove the existing radio, which normally shouldn't be too complicated. So we're gonna go ahead and do that as a start. Then the unit should actually just take the place. And I actually used the about the anthracite, or you know, the dark, you know, the black trim, which I thought would look nice here. The first step is to take this out, so we're going to start with that. To remove those, it's pretty easy. You need a flat screwdriver or one of those little flat tools to remove trims. You pry on the sides and the card holder comes out. These are the clips, just so you know where they are located. See, pretty standard. So I'm going to put this up there. Then we have the passenger airbag, same idea, same clips. Right? Pretty easy to remove. And there's a connector in the back, which I'm gonna take out. I need both hands to do that. There we go. So you pry on both ends on both sides and it comes off. And then we find some Torx screws in the back. So we're gonna start removing those. I think this bit is the right one. Yeah, it is. So I'm going to try to make sure my bit doesn't fall off in the back, because that would be a problem, obviously. So that's one screw is out. I want to take it out completely. I'm doing all this with one hand. Not the easiest thing to do. There we go. So I'm going to put this right here. Second one right there. Same idea, pretty straightforward. I did actually drop the screw, but it didn't go too far, luckily. Okay, so there we go. Then the unit, the top of the unit is supposed to come off, from what I gather. I don't believe there's any additional screws there. So I think it's just a matter of prying it off in order to remove it. There we are. So I really didn't have to pull that hard, and neither should you. Right? So from that point on, the whole assembly comes out along with the vents. Make sure you pull out straight, and should, in theory, come out. It's already out. There we go. There are a couple of things. You just need to pull it down a little bit, because this little flange will get caught on the back. And before you go any further, you disconnect the four-way flasher, which is in the back right here. You can see the contact. So there's a little slider. Pull on it. See, it's spring-loaded, right? Pull on it and disconnect it. There's one on both sides. It's really difficult to show you what's going on here. Gonna have to put the phone down for a moment, because I can do it with one hand. This is the connector itself. So you have to basically see it's spring loaded, right? So you have to grab on this, pull down, and at the same time on the actual switch itself, there's a little tab here that you have to press down in order for the connector to come out. And that's your entire assembly. Everything is working well here, but I know the vents can also be replaced. If you ever had one of the little fins that broke off, for instance, or if you ever needed to replace that, you would be able to do it from there. From here, you have access to the radio. So 4 more screws. They're the same type as the other ones. So same process here. Okay, that's done. Now this unit should be loose, and it is loose. However, I need both hands again here in order to remove it completely. What I just noticed is that you have little clips on the side. There was one here. This is supposed to be attached to the back of the bracket. We're gonna replace the whole thing anyways, but if you look at the way it's designed, there's these little clips on both sides, and they're supposed to clip into the mounting chassis here. So one of them is still in place on this side. See the little metallic thingy? This one snapped, right? Which doesn't really matter, because the new one probably has some clips as well. It doesn't, surprisingly. So maybe the mounting bracket is just different. But at this point, I'm gonna need both hands in order to take out the radio. So I'm just gonna put the phone down for a moment. And this is the entire unit. And on the back of this, you have this giant harness that needs to be taken out, along with both of these cables. One is for regular FM. It's actually marked on the back. And the other one, I believe, is for the satellite. Can't quite tell here. One is a 50 FM 50 ohms. There you go. So I got 2 cables. Funny enough, in the back over there's only one cable coming in for the antenna, and I was questioning how I could put a satellite one, so something a little bit more recent. And so now I have two cables here getting to the end, which is getting to the back of the unit, which is interesting. So this is the connector in the back. There's a harness that's got a latching, like you have to press down on the little latch on there, and from that point, when you swivel the little handle, the whole harness will actually come out. Should come out to get stuck on the wires because there's lots of wires here. And that's it. So the harness is out. Now for those, I think they're just inserted straight down. We'll connector here. Oh, there you go. So you pull on the latch. There's a little plastic latch right there. It's hard to show here. And you pull up and it comes out. And from that point, the cables should be loose and will come right out. So make sure the little latch is pulled all the way up, because that's what allows the connector to unlock. Okay, so overall, pretty easy process. The unit is out. It's a pretty bulky unit in comparison to the other one. So I'm gonna put this down here. And now I need to look at the harness situation with that system, because frankly, I'm a little concerned about this. There's a lot of wires. I'm not exactly sure how they all connect to the back of this unit. So if I look at the unit itself, we have a whole bunch of connectors in the back. There is the main harness here, which I'm gonna look at and see how everything connects. Sadly, again, instructions would have been nice to have, but I didn't get any. So that's what I've got here. I believe that the one we're going to use is this one right here. And I think there are two types. The other one, I don't believe we actually even need it. But this one right there would match the harness that I have here. Right? So only a few pins are being used at the bottom. I'm not sure whether you can see that. But so this connects to the car, and then a whole bunch of things will connect to the back of the unit. So I suspect the black one goes to the right here, and the white one goes here, and we have additional harnesses to connect the different parts of or different components of that solution, being the the dash cam, and being the rear view camera, etc. So I'm gonna put the phone down for a moment to identify where the different components are going, and I'm gonna resume the video. All right, so continuing with the installation of the system. Pretty straightforward overall. System is well designed. You can't really go wrong or super wrong, but I still have a couple of questions that I'm yet to answer. So we'll see how that goes. In a nutshell, when you connect the main harness here, make sure that the lever on the car side is lifted all the way up and disengaged, right? So that you can insert the connector into the harness and then re-engage and lock the arm, the swivel arm right there, okay? Once you have this done, then depending on the options that came with your kit, mine actually was kind of a full option with a CAN bus decoder, which is this little box. There's only one place you can plug it in. I also have the front view camera, the rear view camera, and I have a satellite positioning as well, which I believe is more of an antenna, really. So for the front, you have the camera, the front view camera. A front view camera has got a cable. Cable is a proprietary cable. It's got these 5 little pins. They connect into this connector right here, which is the cable that you're going to be running all along your upper section here. So the good thing is that my headliner is out, so it's going to be pretty easy for me to do it. I'm going to attach it right behind the mirror right here, run the cable up right there, and then through the liner there. Underneath the dashboard, down the pillar, and it should be pretty clean and rather invisible. So this looks like a pretty long cable, probably six feet, maybe four or 5 feet. So that takes care of that. This cable then, once you connect the camera to one side, the other side is a USB port, as you can tell. It's a USB connector. And that goes into one of those wires that came in the kit. So I have two. And this one, it's got 6 pins, and there's only one slot where you can go, which is the second one. So you can't really go wrong, and that's a standard USB connector. So you plug this to the back of the unit, run your cable for the camera through the front, and connect everything to the back. There's tons of space in the back here, so no concern there, because the unit, the OEM stock unit, is super deep, and you won't have any problem with space, because that new unit is like super thin. It's maybe 2 inches max, right? Then you have the rear view camera. So the rear view camera is where I'm gonna have to do a little bit more digging, because I'm still not sure how I'm gonna connect it, but fundamentally it's an S-video connection. So on the camera side, you have this cable that ends up with an audio and a video, right? And on the cable side, I have this yellow input connector, which has actually two. There are 2 connectors there, and so I need to figure this out. I need to unpack this and find out exactly what these cables are, but I anticipate they will plug into this massive harness, which has all the inputs you can dream of. So you'll have your mic input, which connects into the mic that has a jack. You can't quite tell, but it's basically a mic here. You'll have the auxiliary in for audio, left and right channels. You actually have 2 of those, so 2 channels, left and right. And you will find your input, video input. One is here, the other one is there. Presumably both of them will be used by the rear view camera. And you will find this subwoofer as well, input, which is probably an output actually here. That's pretty good to have. I don't believe I have a subwoofer in this vehicle, but I suspect you might have one in yours. You'll find this little cable with a little connector at the end. I'm not exactly sure what this is for, frankly. So some of those might not even be used at all, right? So I'm gonna have to do a little bit more digging. As I said, there is this connector as well, which is an additional video input. Looks like, again, connector can only go in one place, so it should be pretty straightforward. And you'll find the GPS device here that connects. Again, there's only one spot. It connects to the top here with the thread, right? So pretty straightforward overall. I'm gonna start connecting wires, see how that goes, and I would like to power the unit and see if I can get all the cameras to respond. And if everything works well, then I'll be working on running all the cables where they should be going. There's also a little SD card, micro SD card that actually came with the camera. That's for the front view camera. And I'm not sure, this is 8 gig actually, which should be plenty of space. So, like I said, I'm gonna start connecting things. If anything comes up, I'll share that with you. But it seems somewhat straightforward. The one thing I wasn't too clear about is on the antenna side of things here. These connectors actually will require an adapter. There is an adapter here, which is for, again, the antenna. I suspect it's the FM antenna, which goes like right in this hole. I'm not sure which one is the FM antenna and which one is the other one. So I'm gonna have to track the wires. Maybe they're labeled. There are some labels here actually on the wire. So I'll take a look at this and see what gives. That's where I'm at. I'll resume the video once I'm a little bit further ahead. Okay, so I've connected everything to the back, just like I said I would. No major hurdle. Pretty straightforward, actually. The one thing that I'm not too sure about, although it might be irrelevant, is because there is an auxiliary connector in the back here, just like you, right? The little jack, auxiliary in. I think this connects to the main harness that plugs into that unit. So we'll see. I'm gonna turn things on and see what happens, because I need to make sure that all the connections are good. I got a narrow back fault. That's normal because my connector is disconnecting here. No, I got nothing here. So I need to do a little bit of troubleshooting because I don't know what's causing this. I was expecting it to come up right away, and it's not. So let me put the phone down and take a look at my connections again. Okay, so I found the culprit. I got a little too excited here, went a little too fast. I forgot to connect this big connector right there, which is actually coming out of the main harness. It's dangling right there by my hand. So I'm gonna plug it in and try that again. Okay, so I've connected the connector that I missed, and let's try that again. Okay, so power is on. Oh, there we go. Well, it's alive, so let's see what happens. Really like the black finish here. Looks very slick. Okay, well, there we are. So I'm gonna look at the FM, see if I can get something here. Okay, well, okay, that's pretty nice actually. I'm not sure whether I have sound on both sides here, so you have to look into this. So things seem to be operating as intended. Running out of daylight here, so it's here. Again, I need to set up the Wi-Fi for that. What I wanted to do is really look at the cameras and the rear view camera in particular. I'm not sure whether I need to be in reverse. Yeah, there we go. So I go in reverse and the rear view camera kicks in. No signal. Okay, well that's interesting because it is actually connected. So maybe it needs power. That's a possibility. Because there was this extra wire here. I believe it probably needs power. So I'm gonna have to figure out how I'm gonna connect this. I think this could be a plus wire that I can connect to, although I'm not sure. So right now I have no signal on the camera, so that's fine. Now for the front is powered with USB. I don't exactly know what I should be doing in order to trigger the camera. It is connected over USB, so it's right there. I know there's no light, it's getting really low on light here. When I plugged it in, it was supposed to give me a prompt. So I connected the camera to the USB. Maybe I didn't connect it right actually, so I got a connector right there. I'm gonna take it out and plug it back in, see if I get any kind of signal. There we go. I just reconnected the USB and I'm not getting anything. External storage device are being installed. Okay, so that's a good sign. It did not tell me anything. So regardless, I need to figure this out a little bit more. Everything seems to be working and picked up outside of this camera right there, although it does actually have a little light on it, which makes me think that it is being picked up. I'm running out of light. I'm gonna continue working on this a little bit as much as I can, and then just leave it for when I have enough daylight to work with. So I'm resuming work on setting up the stereo, and I wanted to troubleshoot the reason why I didn't have any sound on the right side. And by looking at the back of the harness, you can tell it's not really straight. So I have some pins that are not connecting, and that's the reason, likely the reason why things are not working. So I'm gonna correct this now. Quick note, as I'm installing the radio system, I had to install the GPS device here. Initially I put it right behind the mirror. There's not long enough a wire to go all the way around, and so I had to actually remove the how do you call this, like the trim on this side, and this little piece here is just a pain. So in order to remove it, because this doesn't come out of the frame, you have to twist it and squeeze it sideways into the trim, which is right here. See, the opening is rectangular, and then you have your two locking pins, and then the thing inserts from the bottom there. So I thought I would mention this because it's good to know how things are designed on this side. I also noticed that the little drain hose was actually out of the clips here, and at the bottom. So I've repositioned everything here while I was at it. So I thought I would point that out. Okay, so quick touch base on the aftermarket Android radio installation. It's pretty much completed. I had a few issues with the upper camera up here. So this is the one that's recording as you drive. The wire was fine, it wasn't too short actually, so I run it over the top there and along the side, so everything is good on that side. The one thing that I was struggling with is that this is actually a USB interface, so you have to connect the USB wire to the camera, right? So it goes to here, there's this little connector here, and then it continues down, and I had to run all the wires through the dash underneath there, which was a bit of a pain, to be honest. That's what took me the longest. And then you connect it to a USB connector here that connects to the back of the unit all the way there. Now the two sets of three cables, or three wires, you have red, green, black, and white. So you have two of those. There's one USB, and it's actually two USB ports really. But I had issues with one of them, and I'm running the other one in the glove box, by the way, just as a spare unit that I can use for other things. And I was connected to one of the two, and then I connected, and that didn't work. It wouldn't pick up the camera, and then I switched to the other one, and then the camera was detected. So just be aware of that, because I wasted a little bit of time on this. At the moment, mine is connected to the one to the right, so this unit here, which actually is a little bit bigger than the one next to it, right? I'm looking at the unit upside down here. This is your warnings, flashers, button here, or switch, right? Then I had a bunch of issues with the rear view camera. Now that was a pain in the butt too. This unit actually has the CAN bus module. It's right here. So it was part of a kit. So there is no back wire, right? On some of those units, apparently you have a back wire or rear wire. It's called back apparently. And it's supposed to send a signal to the camera to turn on. And it's also supposed to carry power, right? So you have this little adapter here, which you might see in your kit, which is your signal, and there is a little wire here that basically powers the unit or the camera in the back. You have three ways to do this. Either you find your reverse lights power, and you can actually just power the camera when the reverse lights are on, or you get a permanent plus to the battery, which is exactly what I did here. So I used one of these little connectors, right? And I've run the wire through it, and I crimped it this way, and now I have permanent 12 on this, which is good. And or you can also use the back wire, which is going to send the signal to the back of the unit, to the rear view camera to turn it on. So I chose to go with a permanent because I knew where the 12 was coming in. It was one of these larger red and yellow wires on the harness, and I was able to, I have a multimeter here, so I was able to test the polarities, test the voltage, and everything was fine. So I plugged to that one. That's what I chose to do. And the camera is now turning on, but I had the no signal problem, just like a number of people apparently have had, and it kind of drove me nuts. I had to reset the unit because I went into the factory settings and into the advanced menu in order to get access to more options, and everything was going sideways. So I reset the unit completely into the full erase and started all over again. And it's working now. Now in the back, so I have all the wires, everything is running here, and I still need to secure a couple of those over there. Make sure that if you run the wires, do not attach anything to the curtains. Obviously that's your curtain airbag. You do not want to have any wires even running in front of them, because that could, you know, impact the way the airbags are supposed to deploy. So do not attach anything to the airbags. That's a security or safety question, obviously. And here I've got the wire coming to the back, running through here. I run it through this conduit, which was a pain in the butt, to be honest. It took me quite a while to do it, but it's good now. And I got my wire. And now for testing purposes, it's just attached to the camera here. And I've got my red, which carries the power. And I found a ground on the tailgate here just for testing purposes. And I've got a slight drop of voltage. I have 11.9 over there at the head unit. I have 11.25 here for some odd reasons, but it's sufficient to power the camera. So everything now is working fine. My goal, and we'll see how that's gonna go, is to attach it right here. Initially I wanted to put it right in front of the emblem and kind of hide it away, but I can't because there's not enough space in the back. But here I do have space. And if you look in the back here, there's plenty of space here to mount the camera. So I need to drill a hole, which is always a bit concerning, but I will make sure that this is done nicely in order to install the camera in a concealed way. So that was the idea. And on this side, what I wanted to point out is the tool that I've used to drive all the wires underneath the dashboard. Because it was a pain in the butt to do, and it took me quite a long time. 3 wires I had to drive through there. One was the rear view camera, the second one was the front camera up here, and the third one was the GPS device, which actually has a very short cable, and that's the reason why it's sitting in the corner right here versus up here with the camera, because the cable was not long enough to go all the way around. So I had to put it in the corner, and from there drive my wires down there and through the dash and underneath there and through to the head unit. The good thing is that this is a very thin unit, right? It's a very low profile, much smaller than the original radio, so you have plenty of space to put your cables in the back here. So cable management is not an issue, but I thought I would point that out. I'm going to reassemble everything now. Secure it in its location, make sure that it's attached correctly. I gotta tell you that the frame on this unit is actually not great. Like the bezel is a little fragile, and when you reattach these guys, I had a number of clips actually snapping and breaking off on the side, which really kind of sucks. But at the end, you know, these actually clip into the dashboard, but the clips underneath here are attaching these vents to the actual head unit. And this was not, this was a little flimsy, let's put it this way. Hopefully the end result is going to be good. I was able to also fix the little fins on the vents, because they do tend to break off easily. So these guys here, I got a spare one from a junkyard, so I worked on that as well. So I'll show you the end result in a moment. We'll talk about this a little bit. This is a backup camera that I installed. So it looks a little funky right now, but it's actually working well. And I actually drilled through the body of the tailgate in order to install it, which looks pretty slick in my opinion. So I'm pretty happy with that. Used some rust inhibitor again and some silicone to keep it from shifting and moving around. Everything is looking good here. Pretty happy with that. So I will put the main trim back. If you've ever curious, if you've ever wondered actually what the trim looks like, this is what it is from the back side. So like a lot of those little metal fasteners, you find those actually on a number of trim pieces in Volkswagens. Nothing really out of the ordinary. 2 long ones, one here and one on the other side. and I'm gonna leave the side pieces out for now because they clip in, but I need to troubleshoot the defog here because it's not working anymore. There used to be a black film here, like a tinted film, and I peeled it off, and I think I removed most of the lines in the process, so it's now non-functional basically. So I'll have to look at my options here. Not too sure what to do, but need to do a little bit more troubleshooting to figure this out, and then I'll see whether I'm ready to put the sides back on.